Greetings, welcome to the show, World War II Books Where to Start. I'm your host, Schneller Heinz Guderian. Today with the Panzers. Let's go get those Ruskies. I'd actually like to do some memoirs again. This seems to be a popular topic. So, if you're wondering why I haven't done any American memoirs, I just got to reread them and get to them. I am kind of fascinated with the enemy side of the hill more than Americans sometimes, but I have read some good Americans memoirs, just haven't read them recently, so I need to retread that space before I present a video on them. So, in the future. Anyway, we're going to do some 3 German memoirs again today, and we're going to start off with On the Devil's Tail by Paul Martelli. Republished in 2014 to the tune of 679 pages. Now that indicates it was the Kindle edition was that long. I don't think the print version is, and the audio I listened to was in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 hours max, so I feel the print would be much shorter. Anyway, Paul Martelli is a Frenchman born of Italian and German parents in France. I'm thinking in the run like 1930ish. He claims to be 14 when he volunteers for the French version of the SS and gets shipped off to Germany for training and eventual posting to a combat unit in early 45. So he says he's 14, has to have his dad sign off on the sheet to let him volunteer. Okay, so the BS meter is already rising, but it goes a little higher when he flashes back to having watched over a group of Russian POWs clearing rubble in France when he was younger, under the supervision of German soldiers. And if you think, if he's 14 when he volunteers in 44, Russian POWs in France, 41, 42, about 11, 12 years old. And he was given charge of a group of Russian POWs to watch over them clearing gravel, clearing rubble, whatever. Okay, bullshit. So it starts right there. And some of his battlefield reminiscences, a little too happy gung-ho to come across as a young kid under machine gun, mortar, and artillery fire with T-34s running down your neck to sound credible. Unless he's got full-blown psychopathic tendencies, then yeah, he might be happy gung-ho. I really like this stuff with people's heads being blown off next to him and you know, blood and gore and guts spilling out everywhere. I really find that hard to swallow as real. His unit retreats to a port on the Baltic Sea where he gets evacuated on a ship and back to Germany, and then his unit gets half-assed reformed in the woods somewhere, and they fight some more desultory battles before breaking up and trying to retreat to surrender to the Allies. It's all got a fairy tale, wish list kind of feel to it, even more so when he gets to this castle with Russians everywhere. He's kind of treated as a local entertainment piece, I guess you could say, or something, and he can make some of the machines work around the castle. He's kept for his mechanical skill, and he's protecting these 2 young German girls who live in the castle. It's all just got BS written all over it. Gets caught out, sent back to France. In the filtering camp, he supposedly doesn't have an SS blood group tattoo under his arm like all SS soldiers did. He supposedly was able to skip out on that session somehow. Again, it just, come on, man. The coincidences here are just unreal. What we really get is his love of fist fighting. He was supposedly a boxer, and he liked to get drunk and get into fights. We got a lot of details about fist fights he had through his life. So he sounds like a disciplinary problem from head to toe, and did some time in this prison in France and escaped and was caught again, did some more time in a prison in Spain, I think it was. Has to go over the mountains to Italy to get away from the French authorities looking for him for a while after the war, before he finally signs up to go to Vietnam/Indochina and fight communism. This is his whole aspiration, is to fight communism. He's supposedly a rabid anti-communist. And that's his motivation to sign up for the Waffen-SS in the first place, as well as fight in Indochina. But we don't get a whole lot of anti-communist rhetoric to support that motivation. It's mentioned here and there. Yeah, we're fighting the communists. I hate communism. Well, not even I hate communism. I don't know. It kind of, after a while, the smell coming off the book is more and more of excrement and less credibility. Although the stuff in Vietnam comes across as a little bit more believable, and yeah, I think he was actually there. kind of stuff with his motorcycle riding dispatches back and forth. It has a better feel to it. Although he doesn't really complain about the heat and the bugs and the rain like you would think he would. So he gets wounded and shipped back. Happy ending. I don't know, man. It kind of stinks all over. It's readable as entertainment, but as actual history and a memoir, not so much. So, blah. Not as bad as Forgotten Soldier by Guy Sayard, which I reviewed a while ago, but close. And then something better. Duel Under the Stars by Wilhelm Jonen, republished in 2018, 254 pages total. This was published in the 50s, I think, and went out of print. And James Holland, I think, had something to do with bringing it back into print because he does the introduction. But anyway, this is a Luftwaffe pilot, night fighter pilot. So we get a different perspective here of the German military. And we get nothing pre-war. Nothing about his education, family life, what he did before the war, how he was sucked into the military. There is no there's no perspective here on his formative years at all. Just hey, I'm in the military. I'm a night fighter pilot. Okay. So he does have some good experiences to relate here. This is not the best aviation memoir by any stretch, but it's kind of notable for a couple things. Some of the incidents he survived were remarkable, including his first kill. He got shot down at the same time when he shot down a British bomber. The tail gunner got him, lit his machine up, kills his radio operator, sends the machine into a spin, and the cockpit's flames are coming up the cockpit, and he's trying to get out of there, and he's burning and blacking out, and the machine explodes and blasts him out into the air. And he's somehow conscious enough to pull the ripcord, but he's traveling so fast and so close to the ground, he goes like an arrow into this muddy field, feet first, up to his chest. He can't get out. He has to help for farmers to help get him out. And he's blinded for a time, but recovers his sight and some broken bones and whatnot before he can get back into action. That's a hard night right there. I would say, hey, you know what? I had enough of this pilot business. Let me go do something else. But no, he's all eager to get back into action. He does become an ace. He's got like 34 kills by the war's end, but he does have enough perspective to realize he's on the wrong side of history, and he's not too proud of his aerial combats in the sense he doesn't detail everyone. Like a lot of pilots' memoirs, they remember every second of every fight and were related ad nauseum, and they're very happy with their performance, and that was the thrill of their life. You get the feeling that William Jonen kind of moved beyond that and kind of had a sense of realization that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and wasn't the culminating experience of my life. So you do get that feel throughout the book. Now, there's some other instances, like he chased a bomber one night, ended up in Switzerland, and interned for a while. And there's this thing where Goering had to intervene to get him back from the Swiss internment, and supposedly Himmler was sending Gestapo agents to assassinate him and burn his aircraft on the tarmac. That gets a little wonky. I'm not quite sure I can swallow all of that, but otherwise pretty solid on the believability scale. Pretty solid memoir. It's not gonna be a top tier. It's 3 stars, but worthwhile if you want a different perspective of German pilot or the air war in general. The night fighting stuff is a lot different because you're groping around with electronics. The early days of electronics, snooping in the air and being vectored onto a target strictly by radar and ground control. So that ground-breaking stuff there, and that's kind of an intriguing aspect of it. So that's Duel Under the Stars. And by the way, if you ever wonder about all the aces of Luftwaffe, I've had this baby for 40 plus years. This thing shows its age, and it's probably out of print, but you can probably get it. Wilhelm Jonen does not have a photo in here, but he is mentioned in the index for fighter pilots that were aces. Now, Tolliver and Constable mentioned that there are over 5,000 German aces, so they don't go down to all that way, but being 30 plus kills, and he did win the Knight's Cross, which he does not talk about at all, unless I just tapped out and missed it. He doesn't talk about me and awarded the Knight's Cross. You would think he would. That's kind of a big deal. And then we'll we'll finish up with Blood Red Snow by Günter Koschorek, or Koschorek. I'm not sure how you want to do the emphasis there. 1998, 320 pages total. This is a short memoir. This guy was a machine gunner with the Wehrmacht on the Eastern Front. He gets lucky in that he was posted to Stalingrad after, or right at the counterattack by the Russians. So he's not in the center of the city itself. He's to the west of it, fighting the pincer movement on the outer, in the outer ring. So he kind of gets lucky. He doesn't get in the Kessel, but his unit gets chewed up, and they have to flee across the Cheer River. It was frozen, so they're running for their lives across this ice and hoping the artillery shells don't break it right in front of them. That's a pretty good start to the book. So he goes from idealism and enthusiasm with indoctrination to immediately, oh shit, we're screwed, we're retreating, we're getting our asses kicked. This is not going well. What are we going to do? And he gets wounded right there with a sliver of shrapnel behind his kneecap. That had to suck. Blood poisoning, sent back to Germany. He was out of action for 6 months. But he comes back for more. He's pretty resilient. And for the next 2 years, he's kind of in static positional warfare along the Dnieper. So in that sense, he's got it good. That's about as good as it gets on the Eastern Front if you're a front Schweine, right? He gets wounded like 6 times total, so he's got the wound badge medal. And I just found it really refreshing, a bit of honesty as far as, combat. He's like, yeah, I killed probably hundreds of thousands of Russians, and I didn't care. They didn't mean anything to me. I did it. Escapes death a couple times by the narrowest of margins, as you would expect for a frontline soldier. And there's one great thing where he's hunkered down in a foxhole in the winter. He got his machine gun, and he sees these Russians setting up a mortar in the open field really close to his position, and he's wondering what in the world they're doing. There's no infantry support. There's no artillery booming. He knows there's something up, so he kind of starts ducking his head around here and there. And sure enough, there's a Russian sniper zeroing in on his foxhole, and he bounces back just in time for the whack to thud into the foxhole wall beside him. Now his assistant gunner can't hold himself back, and then has to take a peek for himself. And guess what happens? Yeah, giant sized hole in the side of his head. He done. So that kind of stuff is really good battlefield memoir stuff. This one's pretty valuable. I could probably call it 4 stars. Pretty readable, and he mentions in the foreword he had meant to do it earlier in life, but the memories from the wars kept getting in the way, not allowing him to handle it emotionally for all these decades. He had to cushion himself from the events. So that's a rare glimpse into a German soldier kind of half-assed talking about PTSD. You don't normally hear. Germans don't normally talk about having psychosis from the war. So that's an interesting little detail too. So that's Blood Red Snow by Koschorek. He also got lucky at the end of the war, I should mention, in that he was taken out of combat to reform in Denmark. His unit was reformed in Denmark for a while. So he kind of got lucky that way, or it could have ended badly for him too. Alright, until next time, I'm Schneller Heinz Guderian, going to mount up in my tank and go fight some Ruskies. Hope you found something you'd like to read. Until next time, happy reading.